everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we got a quick look for you on the Guild Starfire I DC in Pelham Blue. Gorgeous Pelham Blue. So on my Starfire one here, I've done some some mods on mine, extremely easy mods to do, but nothing that would necessarily have to be done on one of these. As it comes, the guitar is really, for the money, it's fantastic. The finish work on it is excellent. The binding on the neck, around both sides of the body. There's no flaws on it at all. It's a really nicely made guitar. So the mods I've done to mine, very minor mods, nothing that you would have to do, on one of these normally. From the factory, the way that this guitar comes, it's really nicely done. For the money, these are fantastic guitars. The finish work is really basically flawless. The binding on both sides of the body and on the neck is perfect. Like I said, the finish work on this guitar is surprising. It's really nice, and I love the Pelham Blue. But some of the mods that I've done, of course, surprise, I put Graphtec Graphtec ratio locking tuners on this. My favorite locking tuner. I tend to put it on all my guitars. Now this comes with basically vintage non-locking tuners. So if you're planning on changing tuners and want to change your tuners, just know you're going to have to enlarge the hole that goes through the headstock. I used a reamer and just kind of do it by hand. I wouldn't want anybody to do it with with a drill and a drill bit. You're probably just asking for trouble if you do that. A drill bit of that size is probably going to grab, and when it grabs, it's going to jerk, and you could probably really do some damage, to the headstock. So if you use a reamer and just, ream out a little bit, try the fit, and just keep going until you get it to where the tuner goes through, you should be fine. And you have to do it, I find you have to ream a little more. Excuse me, you have to ream a little more out of the back than you do the front, but. Pretty easy process, and I think obviously the Graphtec ratio locking tuners are much nicer than the tuners that come stock. I did have to do a little work on the nut on this guitar. The nut slots, the actual the fit of the nut is fine. The nut slots did need some filing on. I think I went ahead and filed and smoothed all 6 slots, but I've been doing this long enough that that's not an issue with me. If you don't know what you're doing when you're working on a nut, you can you don't want to go too far, and it's easy to go too far if you don't know what you're doing. So if you don't feel comfortable doing that, have your local tech maybe take a look at that for you. The fretwork on this is really nice. I didn't have to do anything to the frets. I'm happy to report they're level. All the ends are done nice, so that's cool. I did switch out the knobs. I thought with the aesthetics of this guitar, that these knobs, look kind of cool, so I did that. And then the other thing I did is I moved the strap button from back here on the heel to up here. I just like them when they're up there. I don't tend to like guitars, that have a strap button on the back. I think the only one I actually leave it on there is probably my SGs. That's an easy thing to do too. And then I put one of these Vibromate, little whale tail thing here on the back. I think it helps keep the guitar in tune a little better when I use the tremolo, and then it's just much easier to when you do a restring, and then also when you put new strings on it and you're in that the early phase where they're new. I think having this on there helps them stretch out just a little quicker. So that's the main reason I do that. Now, most of the Guild Starfire ones have mahogany laminated, back and sides and stuff, with a mahogany neck. The Pelham Blue, for some reason, and I'm assuming since it's not a transparent finish, it actually does have maple laminate back and sides, which is cool. So it's a little more in line with, like, say, like an ES, 335. So it's got a mahogany neck, an Indian rosewood fretboard, really, really nice piece of rosewood, especially considering, the price of the guitar. And then, like I said, the maple laminated back and sides. As far as hardware goes, it's got a Guild, basically like a Tune-o-matic bridge there. It's got a Guild tremolo, vibrato, I guess is what they call it. Basically like a Bigsby, but it, does have the cool Guild logos on it. And seems like a pretty decent unit. As far as the pickups, they are the Guild HB2s. They're pretty decent pickups. I mean, they're not, you're not going to confuse these with like Lawlers or something like that. But, they're good pickups. I don't really feel the need to worry about, changing those out or anything, which is good because, working on electronics, on a semi-hollow is not the easiest thing in the world to do. As far as the pots go, I'm going to assume they're not the greatest quality pots, but I don't, they're quiet. I don't have any issues with them yet. So until I do have issues, I'm just going to leave them in there. And like I said, I did go ahead and change out the knobs on there. Some, an easy fix. I just thought these knobs would look a little better. There's nothing wrong with the knobs that come on it. One cool thing about it, though, is on each of the volume pots, they are push-pull, so you can get single coil on the HB2s. So I think that's really, really cool and really handy. I tend to leave the bridge in single coil mode, or I'm sorry, the neck in single coil mode, leave the bridge in humbucker mode, and that's kind of just how I leave it. Although, if I'm recording with this or I just want to change up the sound or whatever, I do have the option to, to do either one. So it's really, really cool. And then a three-way switch down here. Like I said, with the pots, I'm sure it's a lower quality switch, but it feels good and it's working fine now. So I'm not going to worry about that until, until I have to worry about it, basically. So we'll do some tone samples for you. Of course, that means we're going to do the same riff that we always do, among some others. gang, just a couple minor things. Like I said, the nut did need some slot work, which, in this price point, let's be honest, that's, you can probably assume you're going to have to do a little nut work anyway. And then the lower edge, like the inside edge of the F-holes were a little hairy, I guess you'd say. They just weren't, finished 100%. 2 minutes with a thin nail file, just kind of, smooth those up. It doesn't affect the guitar's performance. It's just, looked a little, shoddy. But really, other than that, the guitar's fantastic. And like I said, I did do some minor mods to mine. None of the mods I did, you would have to do to yours, unless you wanted to. The guitar as it comes, especially, considering that price point, like I've been saying, really, really impressed with this guitar. Anyway, that'll about do it for this quick look of the Guild Starfire I DC in this, what I think is gorgeous Pelham blue finish. Thanks for checking it out with me. We'll see you next time.